Hello, my name is Callan.
And my name's Pierre.
And you're watching the Callan and Pierre podcast live from Pierre HQ. This is episode 2. If you want to go watch the first episode, I'd recommend you go onto our YouTube channel, the Callan and Pierre podcast. That's right, we originally started on YouTube. Isn't that right, Pierre?
Yes, we did.
So the first topic we've been given by a certain someone. Sorry, I'm just having to watch the microphone level, and I'm having to speak a little louder than I am. So the first topic we got is Spurs. Now, Tottenham Hotspur. Now, for those of you who don't know what it is, you should do. It's a Premier League team. They play at White Hart Lane. They're a fairly good team, to be fair, but they've been trying to get into the Champions League, haven't they, Pierre?
Oh, yes, they have. They've been really trying, but they just can't, can they?
Now, bear in mind, Pierre is an Arsenal fan, like I said on episode 1, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And if Arsenal went against Spurs, Arsenal would whop their ass.
Well, I don't really believe that, but carry on dreaming, Pierre. So, what are your thoughts about Spurs exactly? So, give me some detailed opinions in this.
Opinions?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Pierre. Surely you know what an opinion is.
I know what a fucking opinion is. I know what opinions are.
Right, then speak your bloody opinion.
Okay, well, what, about Spurs?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Okay, right, Spurs, yeah. I think if they keep going, they'll do well. Eventually they'll do well. They just need to keep practicing, keep training, and they'll do absolutely fine. That's what I think.
Well, that's what Pierre thinks about Spurs. Actually, rather positive coming from an Arsenal fan, Pierre. So, do you want to talk about Arsenal a little bit before we carry on talking about our favourite team, Spurs?
Yes, I do. Arsenal, I must say, is definitely much better than Spurs.
Fuck off.
Spurs can go fuck themselves because Spurs are just Spurs. They just Spurs in the air. They don't bloody do anything, do they?
Well, to be fair, they do a little bit more and have a little bit more passion than Arsenal fans who only cheer when they get a bloody victory.
Oh yeah, is that true? Is that so?
You're arguing with a Leeds fan here. Don't argue with a Leeds fan about fans.
Well, Leeds are worse than... Well, actually, they're worse than Spurs. Definitely.
So? They're worse than Spurs, and they may be worse than Arsenal, but at least we have a passionate support in comparison to Arsenal, Pierre.
If Spurs went against Leeds, Spurs would whop them, and you wouldn't feel happy about that, would you?
Well, the last time we met was in the FA Cup at Ellen Road, and we won 2-1. So what are your thoughts on that, Pierre?
2-1? Oh, you only got, you got help there. You got some help, so it wasn't, it's not there.
Help? There was 11 players on the pitch. You call that help? That's normal.
How is that normal? Like, what?
What do you mean? What do you mean? How is that normal? Oh, how is that normal? There's not supposed to be 11 players on the pitch. For God's sake.
Well, okay, I must say Leeds do play well sometimes, but Spurs are definitely better than Leeds. You got to admit, come on. I mean, look at Spurs; they're doing so well. I mean, look at Leeds, though. I mean, Leeds they're trying their best, but yeah. But in all, Arsenal definitely better than Leeds and Spurs at the same time.
Well, there you go, straight from the mouth of the Arsenal fan.
What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say? That's going to become a quote if we ever get up there, Pierre. We're going to have T-shirts, everybody walking around the local area with a T-shirt saying, "What are you trying to say? Pierre Maynard."
That's true. That would be brilliant if that happened.
I'm just trying to check the normalizer here, because sometimes I can see the bar going, it's not even reaching half the time, nowhere near, so it's maybe a little bit quiet. I understand. Let me try the normalizer. Ooh, there we go. That's a little bit better, I think. Did I ask you to make a noise? Did I really ask you to make a noise? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Very unbelievable.
Do you have anything else to say about Spurs, Pierre?
All I can say to Spurs is you're doing well, but mostly, totally shite.
Well, coming from an Arsenal fan, there's some positives and negatives. So take it as you please, take it as you want. But I'm going to express my opinion a little bit. Now, being a Leeds fan, obviously we've had our ups and downs, mostly downs. But if you look at Spurs, I mean, come on, they've been in the Premier League. They've been in the top half always. They've always been a good and competitive team. Even if they did lose against Arsenal, they had all the passion they had, unlike Arsenal, who would just half the time slop down if they didn't get a damn result they need.
No, I'd like to say something about Arsenal. To be honest, to be fair, Arsenal, they're a good team. They play well. They're not like Chelsea. Chelsea just have like really good players, and they don't perform. They don't play as a team. Arsenal, however, plays a team. Spurs, however, play as a team, and so does Leeds. They play as a team and they play together. Yeah.
And like I said on the first episode, and I'm going to say this right now, money's pretty much ruining the true spirit of football, to be fair, because if you look at teams like Chelsea and Man City, they've got a lot of money to spend, and that's obviously, well, that's just taking a toll on the world of football. I mean, Man City, 10 years, maybe a little bit more, before they won their first Premier League, because they won a Division 1 title, which is not really countable in my opinion. But 10 years before that, they were relegated to the Championship, the Coca-Cola Championship as it was called, as far as I'm concerned. And Man City wasn't as known as they are now. But if you look at Chelsea, yeah, they've been an ish team in the Premier League. They were an ish team in the Premier League, but then they got some Russian money in, and then they come first. They get a Champions League. Congratulations on that, Chelsea, but that was only a few years ago, bear in mind. But if you look at football, money's pretty much ruined quite a lot of things. And I tell you what, Spurs, they're not really top for money, but they do have a lot to spend, is what I'm trying to say. But the thing is, they seem to be spending it maybe a little bit wiser than other teams in the Premier League at the moment. What do you think, Pierre?
Oh yeah, I think that's true. Spurs, they're much wiser than any other team, than any other manager. To be fair, well, spending good money on good players, basically, not just money on random players that they don't, really know.
Right, let me try something, because obviously the level of the volume. Right, let me try it with this. Maybe a little bit more clearer. Maybe hear a bit of background noise as well. You had to put a really thick sock on, didn't you, to remove background noise? I understand you want to get rid of background noise, but half the time I'm worried, because when you're going that it's not coming up on the level.
Well, I'm sorry anyway.
Even the bloody normalizer's not working for you, Pierre. I'm trying to sort things out, and you're just like,
Oh man, that's amazing.
So carrying on with my opinion to Spurs, I mean, as a Leeds fan, you wouldn't expect me to say a lot of things positive towards other clubs, but obviously I'm one of these fans that has to set an example for the rest of the Leeds fans. Well, not the rest of the Leeds fans. You do get quite a lot of Leeds fans that are reasonable, but you do get some who just always think negative, and I always see it on the Facebook page of Leeds United. Even if we get a win against a low club in pre-season, they will always... Well, that's going to get a lot of... Jesus me. But obviously I had to take the sock off because of... It was annoying me that there weren't any volume coming in. But when I look on the Leeds United Facebook page, when there's news, when we win against a small club or when we lose against a small club, whatever result we get, there's always some bloody idiot that's always negative saying, we should have done better than that, marching on together. I mean, it's the same with every other club, but Jesus Christ, Leeds United have quite a lot of grumpy people on their Facebook page.
Yeah, that's very true.
This is coming from a Leeds fan myself, but I always try to stay positive, and I stay positive about other teams as well, because obviously football isn't about just competitiveness and brawls and fights or anything. That's not what it's supposed to be like. Football is supposed to be, and this is what it's truly supposed to be, bringing people together as a community. Thoughts on that, Pierre?
Thoughts on what?
Have you not been listening to me? I'm right next to you.
Sorry. Say that again. What were you saying?
Right, here's what I'm trying to say. Basically, the origins of football is not about brawls, fights, competitiveness. Well, it is a little bit of competitiveness, I'll give you that. But it's mostly just gathering people around as a community to support different teams and just bring them around into the same topic so that everybody can pretty much relate.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. You're right about that.
And the problem is that money has ruined football and it's bringing more competitiveness than, well, unity. And that's the problem with football today. But with teams like Spurs, they've got quite a lot of money, but they spend it wisely, unlike other clubs like Chelsea and Man City, who just spend without even thinking about the team chemistry, about players' history with other players that might have joined Chelsea. It all goes on, and really, you need to think wisely about what you do. It's like when at Leeds, when Neil Warnock signed El Hadj Diouf, 12 months after he called him a sewer rat. So you need to think about spending money on players before you get to know them, because it's obviously outstanding to how all of this just comes towards it. But my opinion on Spurs is that they're a very good team and they should be in the top 4. But because of money, half the time, they don't even get a chance to get into the top 4 half the time. All they get is at the most 5th. And 5th is not good enough, in my opinion. They should be in the Champions League, but it's because of other teams with billions and billions that they're not getting the opportunities that they really do deserve.
Yeah, that's true. And I would like to say congratulations to Spurs. They've been doing really, really well. I shouldn't really go, I shouldn't really comment on bad stuff about them, but they're doing really, really well. Proud of Spurs. Well done, Spurs.
Right, we'll move on to our next topic. So this is just a really, really small one. So I decided to sign on to my Gmail account. I'll just simplify it. But I sign on. No, I'm trying to sign in, and I mistype a few things. Then Pierre says to me, "Callan, are you dyslexic?" You are a fool. And I'll say it live if I have to. You are a fool, despite the fact you are my friend. You are a fool friend, my friend.
Yeah, I was very, I didn't recognise. I should get my bloody eyes tested. I mean, Jesus.
Just because I mistype stuff doesn't mean I'm dyslexic. Dyslexic people have problems with reading words on paper, the computer, or anything. But the problem is that you see it in a different perspective, that when I mistype something, you seem to misinterpret me. You interpret me as a dyslexic person. I'm not dyslexic. Possibly Asperger's syndrome, which is on the autism spectrum, but I'm not dyslexic, I'll tell you now. So that's the end of that very, very quick topic.
Well, just to say that for all the people out there at dyslexic, I feel sorry for them, and I hope they're okay. Yeah.
Well, of course they'll be okay. They just need help reading, of course, and it's terrible, really, because obviously many people can learn very quickly how to read properly, but then you've got some that struggle, and obviously you've got some charities for towards dyslexic people, which helps dyslexic people. I'm starting to lose my words now. I'm starting to do a Pierre.
Hey, don't blame this on me.
What's with the stuttering? You're stuttering, Pierre. That's why I say every time I stutter, every time I misinterpret a word, I always say I'm doing a Pierre.
Stutter. You always stutter.
Oh, do I always stutter? Did I stutter now?
No, you didn't. No. Your face.
I'm trying to see if you stutter.
Wait. Me? When do I stutter?
You stutter quite a lot of the time, Pierre. It's obvious. When I'm live, I try not to stutter so that I sound a little bit more professional than I do in real life. Because you see me in real life, of course I stutter. But obviously, when I'm trying to make a point, I want to make sure that I don't stutter so that the other viewers... I did it again, I'm doing it now. Thanks, Pierre.
You're very welcome.
but I try not to stutter so that people who are watching this are not currently thinking, oh, he's lost a lot of confidence in him. Because after I stutter, you will realise that I continue to keep doing this stuff every damn day.
True. Well, just one thing to say. Just don't worry about my good friend Callan. He's a bit nervous on air.
Well, of course I'm a bit nervous on air, but I'm not viewing my face to the viewers, am I? Neither are you.
Good point.
Right, we'll move on to our next topic, and we have 14 minutes and 30 seconds, apparently, according to this podcast there. Do you see that, Pierre? Yeah. Time left?
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Right, so we have about 14 minutes to describe life stories and then what Pierre wants to see in the future. So, life stories. Pierre, you can go first with your life story that you have chosen. The microphone's yours.
This is really, really interesting. I'm about to tell you. About a couple of years ago, well, it was a long time ago. I was at the cinema. I was watching Stuart Little too, and I was about 12 when this happened. And I wanted to see like how far I could go back on the chair, and I fell back. I got stuck, and they called the fire brigade. They turned off the film. It was really embarrassing. But then this massive big off guy just got off his seat and just pulled the chair off. He pulled it off without even thinking about it. So then we just left the cinema and never went back.
You are a fool, Pierre. Honestly, you decide how far you want to go back on the chair and you end up getting stuck like an arm in a Pringles can.
You're crazy.
No, I'm not crazy. I'm relevant.
True. You're relevant. Yeah.
Well, I'm more relevant than you, who wants to get stuck in a damn chair at cinema and stop the damn film, call the fire brigade, and then just let other people watch you whilst you are completely embarrassed whilst being stuck. So you have no choice but to consume your embarrassment.
Hey, it's not. Well, it is my fault, but the only reason.
Yes, it is your damn fault.
The only reason I wanted to do that was because I actually wanted to get stuck in that chair. I don't know why. But I was so bored of that film that I wanted to get stuck.
What, did you think you'd see other films for free then if you got stuck in that f***ing chair?
Yes. I was like 12. Jeez.
12? At the age of 10, I knew a lot of things that I know now.
Like what?
What do you mean, like what? You know what I mean. I was a smart kid ever since I was about 9.
You told me you were changed when you were like, what 16?
16. Yeah. I changed when I was 16. Oh yeah, because suddenly I turn into this childish person, right? Well, not turn, but originally this childish person, and then as soon as I'm 16, I'm all grown up. No, you learn to grow up at any age you want. Well, it's one's responsibility to grow up. It's not your parents' choice. It's not everybody's choice. Although they have a part of influence on how you behave and everything, which is pretty much environmental, it's your choice whether you want to grow up or not. And I've chosen to grow up simply because I don't want to end up like other local teenagers in McDonald's. Only some, but the problem with some teenagers is that they think they could do everything, and they think that they have the freedom to do everything. They have to wake up in reality and realise that they don't have every single bit of power in the world. Not even adults. They have to realise that.
That is very true, yeah.
So obviously that's Pierre's life story. I'm going to do a life story of my own, and this does include a little bit of language, just in case if my family's watching, because they don't like me swearing for some reason. Well, they've got a valid reason, but here we go. So obviously, I was at a barbecue, and I was in Norfolk, in a little place called Callan Heath, and what happened there is basically we had a barbecue. I was in the caravan. I think I was with my granddad as well. My mum and dad had decided to do a barbecue. And obviously, they were cooking some burgers. Oh, thanks, Pierre. Obviously, I tell you what, the normaliser's useless half the time. But obviously, if there's background sound and obviously any wind coming into the microphone, we do apologise for that. 10 minutes to do so. But we had the barbecue. going on, and we were cooking burgers. Well, my mum and dad were cooking burgers, and I was sitting in the caravan happily watching television until my tummy told me to go outside and get some burgers. So I go down the steps of the caravan, walk up to my mum and dad, and I say, "Hey, where have all the burgers gone?" And my dad said, "Oh, I ate them all." So I just shouted, "You bastard!"
Why? Why, Callan? Why?
Funnily enough, I was only about 7 years old when I said that. I was just like, "You bastard!"
You were about how old?
7, 6 or 7.
6 or 7? I didn't know any bloody swears when I was 6 or 7.
Well, I did, and I was hungry. So obviously, I was influenced by swearing because my tummy was rumbling. It was just like, "Oh, Callan, I feel like a bit of burgers today." Now, another life story I'll quickly tell you is basically when I was back at my home, my dad's friend said to my dad, "Can I have a beer, please?" And then my dad said, "Yeah, go on, you can go in the fridge and have a beer." And obviously, he went to the fridge, and I saw him because the fridge is directly from the back door into the garden I could see. So I just started shouting, "Oi, get your hands off my fridge!"
Oh, brilliant.
I love these life stories. I have some life stories, I tell you now. So we've got about 8 minutes and 10 seconds left to talk about the future. So obviously, what Pierre wants to see in the future. So basically, I'm going to describe this to you, Pierre. So in the future, and I mean in the near future, not the distant future, like 25 years later, what you want to see in a region of now, well, several hours later if you need, to about, let's just say 1 to 15 years into the future. What inventions do you want to see come into the market? So the microphone's yours again.
Well, I'd like to see, I'd like to see them try and, reverse time or make build a time machine so you can go in the past and change something or in the future and change something. That's what the first thing of what I'd like to see in the future. Secondly, if you've seen Back to the Future in the second one, as the cars, most of the cars were flying on just flying about. I'd really would much like to see cars flying, so then we don't have to have any traffic or any shit going down, basically.
Well, technically, they've got hover cars. They've got hovercrafts working in the military, in different types of military, by the way. They're working on hovercrafts and robots to decrease the infliction of humans, the casualties and everything. So you could say flying cars are already starting to happen. Another thing I would say, because I was learning this in my IT course about artificial intelligence, not intelligence, driverless cars, they're already happening. There's a Mercedes-Benz one coming out not long into the future. I'll have to go research what the car name is, but all I know is definitely made by Mercedes-Benz, and it looks really, really good. Hopefully I can get one when I'm about 65 years old. Can you imagine what I'm like? Then Pierre will be saying I'm bold. So what else do you want to see in the future? Microphone's yours yet again, and you have about 6 minutes to do so.
What about you? What would you like to see in the future? Oh, come on, I've said mine.
Fat pills. Honestly, I can't get my lazy ass off the chair just to do some exercise half the time. But I do it, don't worry, I do exercise. What the bloody hell are you laughing at, Pierre?
Yo, you do. Are you saying you do? I've never.
Yes, I do exercise. I think a lot of people do exercise. They do it so that they can keep their lifespan at an optimal.
Yeah, I know, but I've never.
Optimal lifespan is crucial to people, so they do fitness and they eat healthily. But unfortunately, for people like me, we don't get that. we don't get too much of an opportunity. I mean, it's not too late for us now to increase our lifespan back to optimal lifespan, but come on.
What?
Right, think of it this way. People with heart disease, smoking, people with heart disease doing smoking, and then you got other people doing different things like drinking, maybe going out doing fights and everything. I mean, you see these wrestlers, they get tired out so easily. Why do you think? Because during the past of their wrestling career, obviously, they've had to go through so many surgeries that half the bones in them are pretty much not just theirs organically.
Yeah, it can ruin, your whole how you.
Well, not organically, but originally.
Yeah, that's true.
And the problem with smokers is that if you do it at a young age and you smoke, it's going to affect you earlier on in life. Because if you smoke, one cigarette is apparently taking 7 minutes off your life. It can take it off in minutes. It doesn't take it off in months or years. It can take an average of 7 minutes off your life for each cigarette you smoke. Shocking fact, isn't it?
Definitely a shocking fact.
So, to tackle obesity, I would say a fat pill where you can swallow a pill and then basically you can eat, or consume not as much as you want, but as much as your stomach can take without gaining too much weight. Or without gaining weight at all, depends on how much you eat.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
They're already using e-cigarettes to tackle smoking, but it's not doing the best. Now, obviously, there's a problem either way. If you have smoking banned everywhere, then smoking companies are going to go down, and that's not going to be good for the economy, which is not what governments around the world want. However, if they increase smoking or everything like that, then obviously the economy's going to be all right, but obviously the average health of human life isn't going to be, and that's going to be a major problem. So what people have done, especially in the UK, they've increased the average price of a cigarette pack so that people will consider quitting smoking so that they don't ruin the quality of their human life.
Yeah, I've seen people try to quit smoking. They say they're going to quit smoking, but then like a day later they just, they can't take it anymore and they just start smoking again, It is quite hard to, quit.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because they need the nicotine, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else you got about, let's say, a minute of any other predictions?
Predictions? I'd say, I would love I'd love to see if they can, make people go invisible. That would be awesome, in the future, near future.
Well, technically, that's already happening. They're working on it, but it's very, very small at the moment. Very, very small. In fact, teleportation is a thing as well, believe it or not. But it's quite interesting in the future, isn't it? Because obviously, people are also talking about whether humans can officially become immortal, and people are saying that it could be possible. And there is a way to reverse the aging process, but obviously we'll talk about that probably on the next episode of the Callan and Pierre podcast, as we've come to an end pretty much.
Yeah, we've come to an end, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed this second episode of the Callan and Pierre podcast.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Don't forget to give us a like on Facebook. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube. You know what to search. Just the Callan and Pierre podcast. And basically, you just get the latest intel and data on everything Callan and Pierre.
Yeah, that's just what Callan said.
Obviously, this podcast will also be on YouTube. We're just going to stick a picture on and make it a video, aren't we, Pierre?
Yes, we are, yes.
So, thank you very much. I've been Callan Wills.
And I've been Pierre Maynard.
And you've been listening to the Callan and Pierre podcast live from Pierre HQ. This has been episode 2. Thank you.